Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 2nd of February, March rather. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Let's have a quick look at the, first off, obviously we've got quite a lot of news this week, but just to remind you, in terms of the stats this week, we've got a bullish leading day today, which I'm thinking may well not deliver. Fairly bearish leading day tomorrow. Rest of the week essentially is neutral, mildly bullish on Wednesday, mildly bearish on Friday. But the 2 days which are strongly tagged are today and tomorrow. I'm thinking they might both be bearish, given what we've seen at the weekend. With the Strait of Hormuz, we're down 72 points currently on ES, and we're testing the kind of range lows from the last 3 months, because this is actually 3 months of basically going nowhere on ES. I'm thinking we may be forming an overall bull flag. I'm thinking we may see a lower low within that bull flag, and I'm thinking that could be significantly lower than where we are right now. That could also give me the low retest that I've been looking for on crypto. All right, in Q, we had a double bottom that broke up here and pretty much made target. Looks like it's reversing back into the lows. I'm wondering about a retest this low here in the, just under 24,250. On RTY, in Q, I would note we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. We've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed on RTY as well. It may be that these are just going to die because of the news. But this was the setup really at the close. This was what it was looking at the close on Friday. It was looking really moderately bullish. YM, we've now got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing here as well. Nothing on DAX. Nope, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing here on DAX as well, and we've got one that was forming, but we've lost the divergence now on ESTX. On Nikkei, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal as well. So we've got quite a lot of positive divergence here. I think this may be a day which is just dominated by the news, and that news is not great, because in terms of the move on from the Iranians here, they're not negotiating at the moment, and they're settling in, and they've had years, of course, of threats and issues and sanctions and whatever to prepare for what they would do in the event that things really kicked off. One of the things they obviously decided to do was bomb all their neighbors, which I think is a slightly dubious decision. But the other thing, which they seem to be preparing to do, is to close down the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is important. I'm writing a post about this. It'll be out within a couple of hours. I'm doing it on the bigger picture, but it'll be on Twitter and whatever as normal. But the bottom line is something like 25% of the seaborne oil, which is a large majority, I think, of the oil moving around the world, is shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. It's the only way out of the Persian Gulf. There are no other ways, really. And there's a little choke point, which is easily closed off by Iran. Now, it's never been closed off for more than a few days historically, but it looks like the Iranians may be preparing to close down the Strait of Hormuz for the duration of this conflict. And that actually could disrupt, I think probably, that could take something like 10 to 15 million barrels a day off the oil markets. Now, as there's a surplus in the oil markets of maybe 2 or 3 million barrels a day, that means we could be looking at a severe price shock that, worst case, could be lasting months. That actually could have quite a sizable impact on equities here. And obviously it can have a huge impact on oil and maybe natural gas as well, because natural gas, something like 20% of the world's supply, also is shipped through the Strait of Hormuz of the liquefied natural gas. And again, if that's lost from the market, we could be looking at a big price spike. So let's have a look at the bigger picture chart. All right, on equities, I'm wondering if we're forming a little bull flag, setting up a retest of this high. We do have a head and shoulders here, which ideally would have broken down already, but is nonetheless still valid more or less. What I'm not liking is that we've kind of got, we saw a test of the neckline in halfway through the formation of the shoulder. That's the only issue with this, but it is an issue. So this isn't as good a head and shoulder pattern as it would be otherwise. But again, if it breaks down, it doesn't need to make the target. So we will see how that goes. But I'm thinking this is either a bull flag forming or it's head and shoulders forming. And we've yet to see a decision. We may see a decision this week. On the 15-minute, I've drawn in the bull flag option here, and it's really not a bad one. In terms of the head and shoulder setup here, it's if you have a look at it in terms of the touch between. Let's see how close that gets. It was not a full touch. So this is valid, but I've got to say that was a little too close for comfort. We will see. But the head and shoulders is still decent. Had that gone through, then that more or less would have killed it. But as you can see, it was just a handle or two short. All right, looking at the cues. In terms of daily middle bands, we've basically broken back below them. And obviously, looking at the prices, we're looking at on the futures, there's no obvious prospect of them getting back over the daily middle bands today. All right, cues. Still below the daily middle bands. We've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, which may well just get killed at the open this morning. Again, I'm wondering about a possible bull flag forming, although we do have a pretty nice looking double top, but it's not as good on NDX, and NDX never made a new all-time high here. It was just short of it. On the 15 minutes, not a lot to report really. On Dire, where we actually saw this nasty break below the daily middle band on Friday. That's likely going to be lower today. Nothing on the hourly chart really, but we have seen a breakdown from this rising wedge from the April low last year, and this is a nice wedge. Kind of looks like a bull flag at the moment, leaning towards this being a bull flag at the moment. We will see how that goes. All right, let's have a look at IWM. IWM below the daily middle band after a couple of days above it last week. RSI 14 sell signal has actually fixed on here and may well be making target in the next couple of days. On the hourly chart, no current divergence, but again, I'm wondering about a bull flag or triangle forming. If it was a flag, ideally we'd be seeing a move down into about the 250 area here, possibly into the main support, which I've got down at the possible neckline in the 246 area. We shall see. All right, DAX again is consolidating. I'd quite like to see a retest of the high here. Not sure we're going to see that with the backdrop today, but I'm wondering if we could see ABC and form a flag here too. Nikkei. Plenty of room to the downside, but ideally I'd love to see this trend line hit. Currently at 60,500, might see some downside and then have a run up at that. We shall see how this goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX, which has been pretty strong on the Iran conflict so far. Partially, I suspect, because of a flight into treasuries, which we've seen. So don't know how long that's going to last. This could be a bearish overthrow, but at the moment, this is a break up over this wedge, a back test. This could be the wedge breaking up, i.e. this could be the start of a significant move, because if this was the wedge breaking up, and if that support continues to hold, which it normally would in the event it was a wedge breaking up, then we'd be looking at a target. What would that be? 98.15 going down to about 95.35. So we'd be looking at a target which would be up, in the 101 area. This could be the start of a sizable move. So I'm watching that with interest, although I have some doubts about bonds continuing to go up. We've got a little head and shoulders, which is already broken down here. And I'm wondering about a back test of the monthly pivots. On ZN, again, a lot of that's been given back. You can't see that yet because of the this is performed slightly differently on the chart before the market, but you can see that's where price is now. So a lot of the gains from last night have already been given back, or most of them. In terms of the CL chart, we've seen a significant move up. We are over 70. I'm going to be running all the numbers in terms of the charts here, but we have a move. Potentially, this could be a bull flag breaking up with a target in the 126 area. So I'm watching this with a lot of interest. I've mostly finished a post on that. It'll be out within a couple of hours of the open. And I'll be running all of the targets on CL, on HO, which is heating oil, and RBOB, which is gas oil. All of these have broken up strongly. And in the event that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed for an extended period, all of these could be heading back up into some major highs. So we could see a major supply crunch and a very big price spike. Okay, NG, we've seen less. We've seen a more muted move here, but as I said, 20% of the world's LNG, which I don't think is the majority of the world. It's not as widely shipped as oil is, but nonetheless, a significant quantity of world supply is going through the Strait of Hormuz, and that could cause a major problem. Now, the timing's not bad for it actually, because if this was November or December, this actually could cause a major problem for, let's say, heating in Europe, a lot of which comes from liquefied natural gas. And that is not likely to be so much of a problem with winter winding down now, but nonetheless, this could cause potentially a very sizable size spike here. The reason I'm not talking about that in my post today is because I don't really have set up for it. If I had a strong setup with targets for a move up, as I've got on oil, then I'd be talking about it, but I don't. So I'm watching this with interest, but without any particular targets in mind. All right, GC, we've seen a move up in terms of flight to safety. This is holding up better than bonds are. Bonds are giving a lot of that back here. Honestly, I think precious metals are a better flight to safety anyway. SI is up a bit, but not a lot. Palladium up a bit. All of these still look like bear flags forming. GC looks too large for a bear flag now, but still could be ABC. I'm still thinking we're still in a bull market, and I'm still thinking that we may well see a larger retracement than we have already seen. Looking at platinum, still looks like a bear flag. HG, not seeing a lot of action here. Here, I drew in the triangle. I just rolled this into May. And I've got this triangle here because we broke up beyond the trend line here. But this high never got over this high. So technically, while it might not be a very nice classical triangle, this is still looking like a triangle. So watching that with interest. If we, I'll be changing it in the event that we go over that high here, but I've been looking carefully. And last contract, this contract, it was close, but no cigar. All right, looking at the others, obviously the dollar is going up, correspondingly yen is up, GBP is down, Euro's down. Yen, of course, isn't really up. It's just that this is seen as, if this was JPY USD rather than USD CAD, then everything would be dropping against that. And USD CAD rather than CAD USD. These positively correlate with the dollar because the larger part of them is the dollar. Basically, dollar's up, everything else is down. Australian dollar, NZ. So not a huge amount so far, and I'm not sure what the potential would be for a big move up in the dollar on this, really, or why there would be one. But so far, we've seen a significant move, and so I'm watching that with interest. And the pattern setup is suggesting that might extend a lot. All right, KC, 60-minute buy signal fixed, possible double bottom setup. SB, I've actually got an IHS here, which is breaking up with a target in the at a retest of the December high. Watching that with interest, but wouldn't be at all surprised to see it fell. Looking at CC, breaking up slightly beyond this declining resistance here. So I'm wondering if we'll see a rally. We do already have a 60-minute buy signal fixed. CT, we've got a head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 63.65 area. And I'm thinking that may well deliver on lumber. Possible bottoming action, might be setting up for a bit of a rally here, but bigger picture, the bigger picture, the trend is likely down. ZW, I was doing some charts and I was talking about this on yesterday because I have been saying when we were back here that we might be seeing a very good 2026 on the grains. I was talking particularly about wheat, corn, and cotton. And because we've got very big reversal patterns of the kind actually that we've got breaking up or about to break up likely on oil here. You're looking at it thinking there is a scope for a very big rise here, even if you can't see the reason yet. And honestly, I'm not sure of the reason this has already gone up a lot, but this is potentially just part of a much larger move that we could see this year. Corn would be the same. It still kind of looks like a bear flag forming, but it's starting to get oversized. On soy, soy is making higher highs as well. ZL making higher highs. Live cattle, we had the wedge, it broke down, and this could all be topping out for a larger retracement. So watching that, and we're hitting a support level here at the test of this trend line. So looking at HE, Again, we had a nice looking rising channel that broke down. We've retraced almost 50%, so that may be done, but we may be forming a topping pattern, in which case the obvious next target would be a retest of this high here at 99.75. Right, so we shall see. Right. Great, let's have a quick look at questions, of which we have none. In which case, I think that's a wrap, guys. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.